finding customers, interacting with them is completely different in Web3. It's always on. And if you miss anything in Web3, you're irrelevant. We're an ecosystem that was founded on anonymity, not knowing who somebody is. Everything is in person on the business side. It's a completely different game. WalletConnect has survived a couple cycles. It's an extremely well-known brand. If anyone who's sort of played around in the ecosystem has likely used WalletConnect at some point. The market's picking up again. People are looking to buy. People are shipping, and they're shipping fast.
What would you say to young women entering the space?
Shoot your shot.
My name is Violetta Chekan, or simply VC, and I have 12 years in startups and venture capital. And this is season 2 of Web2 plus 1 with VC show. And each episode we have top entrepreneurs and leaders in blockchain and crypto space. And today we have Cara Liberati, who is the head of business development in WalletConnect. Hi, Cara.
Hey. How's it going, guys?
Thank you so much for joining this show. It's amazing to have you. So we will talk a little bit about your story and how have you entered to blockchain space. We will talk about WalletConnect. It will be very interesting to know more. And in the end, we also will have fun entertainment, like as a game. And the main topic, of course, it's business development. So how to make the business development successfully in Web3 space. So are you ready?
Yeah, let's get into it.
Let's start with WalletConnect. So tell me a little bit more. So what problem is WalletConnect solving on the market?
2018, Pedro Gomes, who's the founder, was in a cafe in Lisbon, and he was playing around in the ecosystem and realized a lot more wallets were mobile focused. A lot of the applications were staying on the web. And so he really wanted to solve, okay, how do I connect my mobile wallet to my web application? And that was through, this QR code system that you're probably familiar with. Anyone who's sort of played around in the ecosystem has likely used WalletConnect at some point in their lives. And that's sort of where WalletConnect started, is really just connecting wallets and applications. And that's the foundational level of the protocol. But a lot of people don't know that we do is we have our own SDKs that we built on top of this protocol, where we're really solving for the end user experience. So really trying to help bridge Web2 users into the space, but also maintaining a seamless Web3 experience for the crypto natives. So our Web3 modal SDK really solves for that Connect wallet experience. We just launched our embedded email wallet. So you can just sign up with an email and we'll spin up a wallet on the back end. It includes like a self-custody graduation flow, so really helping bring Web2 users to Web3, as well as we're going to be working on some stuff with passkeys, smart accounts, et cetera, and a little bit of customization on the UX side. We also recently launched our Web3 Inbox SDK, which is notifications to wallet addresses. So how are we interacting with users in Web3? And so users won't have to give out their email anymore to be getting notifications on what their activity in the Web3 ecosystem. And that's sort of like a brief overview of what we do.
You are as the head of business development. So tell a little bit more about, first of all, your journey to blockchain and crypto. I know that you've been before already in this space in Fireblocks as well. So that will be interesting to understand how your transition was to the space, and then also a little bit define your role as a business developer, because in different companies it can be different, right? So tell this a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. So I studied systems engineering in college. I was really hyper focused on sustainability. How am I going to save the world? Before I went to college, I did a gap year where I traveled and worked on farms. And college is really not in my roadmap, but I ended up going. About halfway through, I realized engineering wasn't for me. I wanted to be more public facing and, a little bit more on the business side, but I stuck through with it and graduated, started working for FIS, which is back-end banking infrastructure. Hated it. And it was really not the job for me. It was a cubicle type of job. I moved to Austin, Texas, got the job at Cloudflare, worked in cybersecurity. And I'd been there for 2 years, really loved it, was working as an expansion account executive. So really fostering growth among current customers. And I'd worked with a couple crypto companies, a lot of gaming companies, people using heavy web traffic. And I was just on Crunchbase one day looking at companies with new funding, and I came across Firebox. And I'd always been a little bit interested in crypto, but never took the opportunity to learn anything on my own. And I just decided to make it my goal to get that job. I was like, I'm going to work here. I'm going to get this job. And so I applied. I didn't hear back. I applied again, and the manager reached out to me, and he was like, I saw you applied for this twice. And I said, tell me what I need to know. I'm going to get this job. I want this job. I knew nothing about it. I looked at the Firebox website, and I was like, I do not understand this, but it's cybersecurity and it's crypto. And I have the cybersecurity and I don't have the crypto. It was completely nothing to do with the cybersecurity that I came from in Cloudflare in a way. NPC security is just like completely its own thing. But I got the job. I worked there for 2 years, loved it. I love that product. I love what the company's doing, and I really think that it's a really special place. But I was ready to move on and do something different. And so I was not totally peeking around, but I saw the WalletConnect opportunity come through, and I thought, this is something I'd be interested in trying out. And that's sort of my blockchain journey.
Wow, interesting story. And how about your responsibilities? So what are you doing right now in WalletConnect?
Sure. Right now I'm wearing, quite a few hats. My previous companies were 50,000, 2,000 to 200 employees when I started at Firebox, and now we're a company of 40 people. So I'm really dipping my toes into a lot of different ponds. I would say I act as a manager to a BDR team. I work on strategy. What is a business development team going to be working on, and what types of customers are we hyper-focused on obtaining? I work with our product team. I work with a lot of our customers, and it's getting feedback from them and helping guide the roadmap in a way that our users would like it. Also a little bit of partnerships, who would be key for us to maintain in the ecosystem, who would we work really well with and we can bring even better user experience to.
So with your experience in Web 2 and transition to Web 3, how business development is actually different?
It's a completely different game. I think in a Web 2 space, you have something like Salesforce, Sales Navigator, a certain type of flow based on email that is really the foundations of being in business development and working in sales. And the tools and looking for people, finding customers, interacting with them is completely different in Web3. It's always on. In Web 2, I think you can get away with not being fully aware of current events all the time. And if you miss anything in Web 3, you're irrelevant, or you're lost touch, and it's always on. There's something always happening in the ecosystem. So you really need to be aware of what's going on around you. Salesforce, the CRM experience, I think, is really tough in Web3 because a lot of your communications are in Telegram, in Twitter, not so much that email flow. So it's a bit harder to keep track of your conversations. And I think we still need to figure out a really good CRM system. So if anyone has one and they're listening to this, please reach out to me. And the way that you talk to people, I rarely use email at this phase. I feel like people don't answer it. So a lot of my conversations are in Telegram, on Twitter. That's where a lot of my outreach is. The way I find people, Sales Navigator is useless. Almost nobody is on LinkedIn here. So I find a lot of looking for people by joining different communities or reading crypto-specific news channels. So I'd say it's a lot more personal, a lot more one-to-one, and it's a lot more important to be IRL in this space. I think for a business, or not a business, but for an ecosystem that was founded on anonymity, allowing anyone to flourish in this space, and really not knowing who somebody is, everything is in person on the business side. So everything is about who you know and where you go, meeting people at events. The IRL relationships are so important.
How the business development has changed through the last crypto market cycle?
It's interesting because I think I also switched a different type of company. So before I was working a lot in the institutional space. So probably a little bit more email, traditional relationship based, but like moving into more of a degen type of community. I mean, when you're in a bear market, you can talk all you want, but no one's building anything, no one's doing anything. No one can buy anything. Now we're at a point where the market's picking up again. People are looking to buy, people are looking to change their user experience, and people are shipping, and they're shipping fast. A lot of like what happens is there's a lot of customers I had that died in the last cycle. They're no longer around, and we have new businesses coming up again. A lot of learned experience from past markets, and so I think it's a lot more of being on top of the new technologies.
How do you ensure actually the long-term value delivery? Like considering this market is evolving so fast.
I guess something I didn't mention before is, when I was thinking about where I'm going to go next when I was at Firebox, it was I was looking for a company that I knew would be around for another 10 years. And WalletConnect has survived a couple cycles. It's an extremely well-known brand for how small it is as of a company. And so really like knowing that, your company is valuable long-term and is not just going to be a phase. I think a lot of people were afraid that WalletConnect was going to become irrelevant with different Ethereum standards, new things coming out. But we've really stayed on top of, being part of smart accounts, passkeys, and we're really just growing with the ecosystem, making sure that you have a team that can move fast and provide, go with the flow of the water, essentially. Like, where are people going? Like, we need to be there, and we need to be there now, or we're going to be too late. Everyone's looking for the next shiny thing. And so you have to be able to provide that.
Yeah, it's very challenging and the competition is also very, very high. As you mentioned, like everyone is like, especially on the bull market, is like delivering and shipping, fast. And if you're starting the Web3 startup, right? So you, of course, like you joined a startup that already is like a little bit 40 people, right? So it's a little bit different stage. But imagine if you would join a startup like from the beginning. How would you advise like the business developer to look at this role basically, and what the initial steps the business developer needs to take, and how to find your actually use case?
I guess I'll answer that with a bit of an anecdote. So when I came on to WalletConnect in January, we released a new product, which is Web3 Inbox. And it's not like what we've done with Web3 Modal before. This is notifications to end users. It's more of a marketing play. And so I was looking at a completely different audience for this. And I was like, okay, well, the same developers that are building with Web3 Modal, they don't want this. Like, they don't care about that. They don't understand the value. Who would find value in this? And as we were thinking about that and thinking about who we're catering to, it was marketing teams. Marketing teams want to be able to communicate with wallet addresses. They really want to know open and click rates of what people are doing with their wallets. This is the financial backbone of your customer. You want to know what they're up to, and you want to know what they're engaged in. It's a little bit different than like an email notification. So I started reaching out to CMOs and people in marketing positions, but I didn't ask for anything other than their knowledge. And I said, hey, we're building this product. I would like to know what you think about it, and if you would find it useful, and if you have any feedback on what we could do to make it more valuable to you. And so I just started reaching out and asking people to like give me their time, and I wasn't trying to hard sell them anything. It was really like, I'm looking for your knowledge share here. And they were very receptive to that. People are really open in this space and really willing to help you. And I think that you should try to maybe approach any new product with that, understanding who it's for and trying to go for that type of buyer, and seeing if they'll partner with you. Seeing if they're interested in what you're doing, or giving you feedback so you can restructure the product in a way that is valuable.
Awesome. And what strategies have you find the most effective in actually closing the deals?
I would say it's all about your communication. I think meeting people in IRL gives them a sense of wanting to work with you, but also getting your team involved in these Telegram groups. We have our CTO in these Telegram groups answering questions for people, our engineers on board to help solve anything on a Friday night in the US, and it's 2 a.m. in Europe, where most of our dev team is. They're online helping, customers who are launching the next day. And I really think that means a lot. That type of interaction means a lot to the people in this community.
And what about like the other strategies? What are actually working? So you mentioned already that the business development is actually very different from Web2. So what actually works? Is it like community building? Is it like outbound? Is it like networking? You go to the events. Like give like maybe like top three, 5 tips.
What really has worked for us recently is we reached out to our investors and we said, hey, these are the companies in your portfolio companies. Can you give us interest in them? We would love to work with them. If there's somebody that we haven't known already, I'm not afraid to bring in Jess or Derek for like a C-level type of interaction. Send, hey, this is someone's Twitter. Can you slide into their DMs? That's another interesting way that really works. I come from a background that's very much who are our existing customers and let's build with them, especially being account management at Fireblocks and Cloudflare. So I love working with our current customers to just help them build more and more into our stack, making sure that they're getting upgraded on our latest modals, and then making sure that they're taken care of every day, that their questions are never unanswered, and that we have a constant flow of communication. On the outbound side, I'm extremely successful when I'm able to pinpoint a specific problem I see about somebody's company and say, okay, here's how we can solve it. Sliding into someone's DM and said, hey, I noticed this on your website. Let's think about this, for example. If they have a custom modal, sometimes it breaks. And I'll screenshot that and I'll send to them and be like, you can just use WalletConnect instead, and these will always work. You'll always be able to connect to 500 different wallet addresses. I notice you don't have any type of email login. Are you interested in that? How are you thinking about passkeys? And when you come into something with, hey, we can solve something that I'm seeing that you have as a problem, they're going to answer.
A lot of Twitter communication, a lot of DMs.
A lot of DMs. I'm not really getting success with emails. So I really think like in this community, in this type of Web3 heavy environment, I'd say like when I worked with an institutional crypto, with you working with Web2 corporates, which we don't work with that much, that's email based. But really understanding where your community likes to spend their time and prefers their communication.
What about about the tools? What the tools do you use? Like what is like top three tools that we understood social media, of course, like Telegram and Twitter, but CRM maybe do you use anything for these communications?
On the CRM side, I would say we use HubSpot. I think it's really good for startups. I started on Salesforce, but the past 2 companies I've worked for, I think HubSpot's a great CRM, and it has a Telegram integration if you choose to use it. Really great for templating emails and sending out to customers. So I think it's important to like monthly or quarterly send an update on what we've been working on to all of our customers and say, hey, by the way, we launched this Verify API. Go ahead and verify your domains on our website so people aren't afraid that it's a scam. Hey, we launched Web3 Inbox if you want to send notifications to wallet addresses. And embedded wallets launched, and so did OnRamp. So, feel free to go integrate that. It'll take 5 minutes. That kind of just like monthly update is really good for people to read. It usually gets people, back in the WalletConnect mindset. And then the other thing is we use Dapp Radar to look for new customers, who's trending in the past 7 days, who's been trending in the past 30 days. That's a really good tool to use as well.
Do you look for like intros? Do you specifically work on that on that strategy?
On introductions?
Yeah, personal like introductions, so you can have a little bit more like personalized approach.
Oh, absolutely. If I can get a personal introduction, I'd love it. I also will like try to find somebody's Twitter to slide into, and versus like sliding into the company Twitter, and then saying something personal to what they do, their relevance at the company. Actually, shout out to a lot of the Telegram groups for business development, because people in BD are willing to help each other. And if somebody knows a contact at a certain company, they're often willing to help you get an introduction. But yeah, it's really like trying to find someone versus just spraying at the company is going to garner you a lot more results. Like the company like pages, when you go to, sales at, when you go into their DMs, like those are managed by probably the marketing team. And they might not understand who you want, or they might not care. So you really have to find someone who's going to care about what you are doing.
Yeah, and especially once you like, it's not like email based, and it's not also like the LinkedIn sometimes, like you don't have like someone in LinkedIn, or they don't have a LinkedIn, but they don't check LinkedIn. So it's very, very difficult, like to reach out. I think it's like, it's very interesting, the space and how it works. And it's very useful, I think, like for everyone who is listening. So I actually would be interested to understand also, like, from the listeners. So if they can comment, so please do comment regarding like how business development is important for your company, because I think this is like amazing topic, and from like 0 to 10, where is like the 10 the most important. So please do comment on here, like on the below. That would be wonderful. All right. So moving forward. So scalability of the company is something that is, for me, is fascinating. I'm a venture capital investor, so obviously I invest in like the high growth. And what I'm seeing that sometimes like companies, they cannot actually grow sustainably. So it's very difficult. It's like the processes and to make the company sustainably growing, and managing all the processes. That is amazing. I think it's and in execution, this is like one of the most important thing. So WalletConnect already has integrated like with 500 wallets and 6,000 apps, correct? I have like the data that is like open on public sources. Maybe you have even more integrations at this moment and the apps. How do you manage as a business developer this scalability and this high growth? Because you have new integrations and new clients and
So for one thing, our docs are really robust and our SDKs are open sourced, no fees attached. So a lot of these wallets, a lot of these dapps can go in and do it on their own. They can spin up Web3 modal in about 30 minutes. So a lot of the customer acquisition is people who've, built projects before. They know they can use us for, a certain thing, and then they come back. But also that they can just do it on their own. How I think about it from a business development standpoint is, how do we prioritize these 6,000 different apps and these 500 wallets? The user base, really. So we think about who are the top wallets people are using, and because we want the consumer to have the best experience, who are consumers really using, and like what is important to them, and then focusing our time on fostering growth within those wallets. And then on the DApp side, it's who is doing extremely well right now, who's going way over our RPC limits. How can we work with them to make sure that they're upgraded, that they're getting responses to our support requests? But it's a constantly evolving thing, because customers are always changing, and with the market, it's up and down. So a customer can have done really well last year and been our top DApp in 2023, and they could not even be on the roadmap in 2024. So constantly looking at the amount of connections. We look at connection growth a lot per DApp. So how many connections that they've made to WalletConnect in the past week, in the past month, and making sure that they have a direct line of communication to us, because these apps can go and integrate our docs without us even knowing. And sometimes we have to go find them. But it's like saying, "Hey, I'm with WalletConnect. You're one of the fastest growing apps on our platform. Just wanted to make a connection in case you guys need anything." But really, like, keeping on top of our data, looking at the power of our network, and knowing like who is really valuable to our end users, who are the customers, who are the consumers in Web3.
How many people do you have right now in business development side?
So we are a team of 3, and we're looking to grow. So we are raising our Series B. So if you have anyone in mind, or if anyone here is looking, please reach out. We'll be posting some jobs in the near future.
And what about like the Web2 companies? I know that you have also the integrations with Stripe, for example, right? So you work with Twitter. So do you talk like with many Web2 companies?
Yeah. Before my time, the company had made a decision, because we were really small, that we couldn't afford taking the time for these, large Web2 companies that were coming to us and looking for our support. So historically, the company hasn't had a focus. Since I've come on, since Jess has come on, and we've really been growing the business side, we're much more willing to work with these Web2 corporates, but it hasn't been in our plan to particularly target them. So the ones that come to us are probably because they've got really good Web3 strategists who say, WalletConnect is who you use for this. So they come to us and they're welcome to build on us. And if they need support, we're here to help them. And what we've done is we've created a tiered support structure. So while our SDKs are free, we do charge like large Web2 corporates for support, like enterprise support services. And so that's like our first monetization strategy. And we'll work into more monetization strategies as the year develops, and you'll see new features come out. But there's really not like an outbounding strategy, an acquisition strategy for our Web2 corporates yet. I think as the team grows, we'll be able to dedicate more space there.
And what is your personal opinion on enterprise adoption of blockchain?
I think that the enterprises see it as a trendy tool, and I think blockchain can be useful for Web2 enterprises. I think we need to really hone in on making the experience so easy for Web2 users that they don't even know that they're in Web3. And I think this is when we get there, when we work faster on passkeys, when we abstract away some of the wallet things, this will become a lot bigger. And I think we lost a lot of Web2 corporates in the bear market. And I think some of them may never come back. I think some of them are still, really not sure about the strategy they're going in. But once blockchain is, a feature in the back end, and then the front end, you don't know that you're necessarily interacting with it, it's going to be massive. And I think we're really, really going to grow in the Web2 space as an industry, not just one.
You mentioned that you lost some of the Web2 companies in the bear market. So do you think that it's also like related with all these cycles, like the interest in Web3?
For sure. But like, look at Starbucks. Like they just announced that they're, going to decommission Odyssey, and we're already back in the bear market. And maybe they didn't do enough marketing when the bear market hit, or the bull market hit again, to really garner more and more users. Like after the bear market, maybe kind of drop some of them off. We're going to need some like real heavy success rates with some of these Web2 corporates. And we're talking to a few. There's a couple different ways. So we have some like large tech companies doing catered experiences for like certain members of their communities that are Web3 focused, building like NFT marketplaces, for instance. We also have large airline companies in our portfolio who are doing loyalty programs, ticketing things. So there's lots of different ways you can use Web3, and you can either choose to make it Web3 native. So a couple of these projects this is something we do for our Web3 companies, our Web3 users. And we also have companies in our portfolio that are like, how do we build this on blockchain, but get mass adoption for it? Email embedded wallets is one way that we can do that.
And what are the use cases that you see that the Web2 corporates are the most excited right now, like from your experience?
The NFTs, for sure. I think NFTs are really palatable for consumers that are not in Web3. And then there's ways you can tie loyalty to those collectibles. One thing I've always loved is going to the MX experience at ACL and collecting the POAPs that they have. And last year I dragged all of my friends there, and I went to go get my ACL POAPs from the MX experience, and my friends were like, how do we do this? And they're downloading their first wallets, and they're doing it too. But that is a really simple way to get new users in Web3. And it was great because I got a bandana this time for my POAP collection. And I think it's like a fun little like scavenger hunt type of activity in a music festival.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. And you also, I know that you're a very big supporter female entrepreneurs and female founders. So you actually created even like a nonprofit. So as a woman in Web3, I just have to ask you, like, what is your experience? And I mean, like, we are very few, and actually, like, WalletConnect has a female CEO, which is amazing. And yeah, I met Jess in person, and like, she's amazing. What is your experience? Have you experienced any challenges? And what is like comparing to the traditional Web2 space?
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard to find women in leadership. And I can't really speak to leadership positions when I was in Web2. But, in leadership positions in Web3, women are few and far between. But what Web3 has that Web2 doesn't is these insanely strong communities of women We have Boys Club, we have Shopify. I'm sure there's many more where women are interacting and supporting each other. And I'm not sure if I've ever told anyone this story, but how I ended up at WalletConnect was I had been following Jess professionally for years. She was very big on like the Fireblocks marketing side. She was like working at Checkout and was head of payments there and was, always giving us quotes and stuff. So I followed her and I was always very interested in what she was doing. And at Permissionless last year, she'd announced that she's going to be COO of WalletConnect. And I said, I need to get in front of her. And I saw that she was also in the Boys Club chat and she was doing the Boys Club event. So I went there and I said, hey, I'm Cara. I work at Fireblocks. I know you from that. And I just really admire you. And I really want to get to know you because I just have so much respect for you. She mentioned she was hiring and I put myself out there and she took a chance and hired me. But I am working here because I wanted to work for her. And I really looked up to her. And I wouldn't have known her, wouldn't have had a communication channel with her if it wasn't for that Boys Club community. And I think as more and more women get in these leadership positions and we're in these organizations, we're willing to help women in these organizations. And we have these communities of women who want to help and uplift each other and help them get other opportunities. And for that, we're going to have more and more women at the top. But not only are there going to be more and more women at the top, these women are all going to be connected. And so that's just going to foster even more growth for women in the ecosystem.
I think that we are right now touching a little bit more personal stuff and maybe we are ready for the entertainment part. So, okay. So I have prepared
to add one more thing real quick. So I'm just going to add one more thing. I have to thank my boss at Fireblocks because when he was hiring me, he introduced me to VP of Sales, Jesse Blocker. He said, I want you to get to know her in the interview process. And we clicked immediately. And she was an extremely good mentor to me. She'd been in crypto since she graduated college in 2016. She worked for Zappos. She's worked at all over the place and she's very well known. And having her as a mentor, really helped me grow in this space. She taught me so much about how women do business in this space, meeting new people and just learning new things and just having someone who's done it all before, was immensely helpful to my growth because I came from Web2 sales and it was a completely different game. And I remember my manager, I was the only girl he managed. And he was doing a review with her and she told me about it later. He said, I think that she sometimes dumbs herself down or she, he didn't say imposter syndrome, but that's, really part of what it is. She said, Andy, women do business differently. Not every man is going to respect us. We know that when we go into the conversation, sometimes it's advantageous to not speak to those strengths. So things like that have really helped. But I'm ready for the entertainment.
Okay. Yeah, but thank you for sharing this. I think it's very important also to hear to many women as well in the space, and women do business a little bit different. I'm also I have been actually one. I think most of the time I was the only one woman in investment teams, and so my approach obviously was a little bit different, and it's very important to have this diversity because there is also different deals and you need different approaches and you have this different views on how to make the business. And I think a diverse team is what makes any kind of business success, and it's very important.
And one thing that one other anecdote that I have to share is that you might be at a conference and you might speak to 50 different men that day. But you might be the only woman that they spoke to, and they're going to remember you. So use that to your advantage and make sure that you follow up on those conversations. You're much more memorable just by being the only woman that man probably spoke to that day. I was walking down the street in Tulum after a conference, and some guys stopped me, and they're Fireblocks. And I was like, yes. I had no idea who they were, but they were like, oh, we've seen you around the conference all week. We know who you are. And you are just immediately much more memorable because you look different. So use that to your advantage.
Okay, so we have this game. Okay, so we are going for the entertainment right now. So I will pull out some of the questions from here. So this is the cards. okay, so we have like it's blockchain by the way here, so it's really nice. Yeah, so we have 54 cards, two jokers, and 52. So it's 52 questions and two jokers. So if you're lucky and you pull out the joker, so you need to tell two truths and one lie, and the audience need to find out what was the truth and what was the lie. That's like a little bit of entertainment. And well, the questions can be like really fun or like a little bit personal sometimes, a little bit more professional, but fun answers are much more appreciated even because this is just like, we just will have a little bit of fun. So, okay, so let's do this. So obviously, like if you would be with me right now in person, we would just, make this a little bit more entertainment, but I have to do this myself, so, all right. So you're ready?
Yes.
Okay. So we have, oh my God, this is one of my favorite questions.
In an alternate universe where money doesn't exist, what would you use to invest in startups? Dogecoin, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, but if there is like nothing that you can invest like from the cryptocurrency or like any money, any kind of money. So what would you invest in startups?
How would I invest? There's no.
Or what you provide as support. What would you provide them?
Maybe I'd invest my time, my business development skills to help them grow, and then take equity in return.
Okay, that's actually still a possibility to do. I mean, like, even if not alternative universe in this universe. So yeah, you can actually do this because like many startups need the business development support, like definitely. And they will need these skills that you have, like in terms of like Web3. So maybe someone from listeners can actually, knock on your LinkedIn or Twitter, and like who knows?
Enough tequila. DMs are open.
Yeah. All right. So okay. So let's do that on this. Okay. So second question. Oh. Okay. Okay. Should I use this one? or no? What do you think? It's just fold out.
No, I think
Okay. All right, so we are starting here. Oh my God, it's all going apart.
Use that one.
That one, yeah, okay. Yeah. So, all right, so okay, is the inspiration overrated?
Absolutely not. I think inspiration.
Why not?
I mean, if I wasn't inspired to do things, why would I get out of bed every day and do anything? Like you need inspiration to foster like all sorts of, growth and creativity. Do you think it's overrated?
True. Sometimes, because I think that sometimes people, like they look for inspiration to start things. And most often that's actually like, things built on discipline and like determination. So, like if you can balance both, that would be wonderful. But just to look specifically for inspiration to start something, like tomorrow I will start I don't know, like going to the gym or, like something like this. So you look for this inspiration. Why not to start to go to the gym? Because like, I like sport a lot. And that's a very good parallel because like you go to the gym and sometimes you don't want to go to the gym, but you have to go to the gym if you want to build muscles, right? And you build muscles also over time. So this is not like comes from the like, inspiration or like you look for like kind of like motivation or something. It's really comes from dedication to what you like chose to do. So if you decided it, and also, like you build muscles over time. You need to pursue something on the long term a little bit to get results. So, that's my personal,
I think inspiration is important. I don't think it's enough. I think inspiration and motivation are very important, but I don't think that they're enough, both of them.
I like what you said about the creativity because how would we have actually? I have never thought about this because you need for the creativity you need the inspiration a little bit. Yeah, so it's a good question. Okay, so let's go. Let's go. We still have a little bit more. So all right. So say stop when you're ready. Okay. All right. So we have. Oh, okay. This is a fun question. But about Web3, we are talking about Web3. So
in a hackathon battle, which big tech team would you bet on? Ooh.
yeah, imagine it's a Web3 hackathon. So
a Web3 hackathon.
yeah,
WalletConnect. I think we have the best engineers, and I think we move really fast.
Big tech. So then you cannot choose like from Web3 companies. So big tech companies like Google, Amazon, like So who would you bet on?
I mean, I'm loyal to everywhere I work because I choose very intentionally about where I work, and I care so much about the brand of the company. Is Cloudflare big enough? Cloudflare.
Yes, it is.
And I would put them against Google, or I would put them against Amazon any day. I think
what
Amazon doesn't is better engineers and faster ability to move and ship, and a better company culture where people want to work together to solve these goals. So I'm rooting for
them. So okay, you're very loyal. Okay. Last question. So let's do this like the last round.
I'm also loyal to Apple, so Apple's probably gonna win.
Okay. So say stop when you're ready.
Stop.
Okay. So, all right. So this is. Okay. This is also fun one.
What am I purposefully ignoring?
Yeah. What are you purposely ignoring?
I'm diving into meme coins for sure. I think there's a lot of people making a lot of money on them right now, but it takes a lot of mental capacity to track these coins and to exit effectively and like have this whole strategy. And I simply don't have the space for it at this point in time.
You do crypto trading?
Like not heavily like that. I don't think I have it in me to be actively like trading and keeping my brain moving in that way. But I'm, on Twitter every day, seeing people, buying these Solana meme coins and, getting crazy rich on it. And, you have to get a little bit intrigued. But for every winner, there's 20,000 losers. So it's important to think about it that way as well. And then the time you're wasting focusing on something like that versus, putting it to other areas of your life that can yield greater long-term results.
Yeah. And connecting also with your story personal, I think like you are choosing like for something that is inspiring you, by the way, that is WalletConnect. And I think it's a very interesting company and you're a great fit there. And I would love to see more from the developments of this company. And I would like you to finalize our conversation also with what are the next steps for WalletConnect. So what are you excited about? And also, and there's also will be a little bit one question more. So,
what am I excited about at WalletConnect? I'm really excited about the amount of things we're shipping that we'll ship this quarter, and then what we're going to do for H2. What really I'm really excited to see grow is our on-ramp that we partnered with Coinbase Pay for. That's all in the WalletConnect UI. So if you want to buy something from Coinbase and deposit it directly into the application you're looking at, you don't have to go to Coinbase. You don't have to go, off the application into your wallet. You can do it directly in WalletConnect. And I think that's really special. It's so easy. I can do it. And I really think that, things like this will help onboard the next 1 million, 2 million users into Web3. And I really want to see more adoption of this SDK because I think it's really special. And I think we'll also be expanding soon to countries that don't have Coinbase. So we'll have more on ramps available, and then really bringing anyone anywhere in the world this access.
And last question, or more like aspirational. You said that it's not overrated, so let's go with that. So the inspiration is not overrated, and we need the inspiration. What would you say to young women entering the space?
Shoot your shot. I think you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and you shouldn't be afraid to ask people for help or to ask people for introductions, just to grow, who you are. So, slide into those DMs, ask people for help, and don't be afraid of the response you're going to get back, because people are really good in this space, and people will generally be supportive. Never let imposter syndrome stop you from where you want to go.
Oh my God, I still have the imposter syndrome. I think this is like, I don't know how to get rid of this. And
every area of my life, but you just have to
and
be yourself and own up to it. And why most people are here? I feel like a lot of people are here because they were buying drugs on the internet when they were 15 years old with Bitcoin, and they're in this space and they're millionaires. No, none of us know what we're doing. So do not let your imposter syndrome beat you, especially here.
yeah, I think like the more successful you are, actually, the more like you have this imposter syndrome, which is like a little bit like also like controversial. Like, why would you have this even like bigger one, right? Like in terms of like how it's affecting you. But yeah, I think it's also very important to understand. Yeah, you need to show up. You need to show up where is like in any kind of like situation, like whatever industry you are in, like you need to show up. And I really like you also, the story about like how did you like approach jazz, and you say I want to work with you. I think this is what is like making this, toward the success. And sometimes like it's also like what I also learned, that success, it doesn't depend really on like how good you are, because imposter syndrome is sometimes like you think, oh, I'm like not good enough, or like I'm not like good in this area, on this area. So the thing is that, yeah, you're doing something right if you are like on this place, and this is what is important. And own, like I think like ownership of these results, it's also very, very important. And making this like showing up, for example, right? That is something that not many people do, even like they are very talented. And I would love to also like women to more show up actually, and speak up as well, and speak up.
Yeah, and get into the space. I think it can be really intimidating to try and learn Web3, and then become, a part of the ecosystem. But it's absolutely worth it. I think there's so much space for women to grow here. That's part of why I targeted this community, is I wanted to grow in my career, and it's really helped me do that. So yeah, big proponent of you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Okay, so thank you so much. It was amazing conversation, and I just would like to also like for the audience to inspire a little bit as well. Inspire, you see, like the word inspire. Yeah, to check WalletConnect, the website, and also the socials, to know a little bit more about the company, and also like the video, so and subscribe as well. So we will have like much more interesting people in the interviews, like the leaders in Web3 and entrepreneurs. All right. So, and yeah, Cara, like, thank you so much. So we will share all the information below about the WalletConnect. So it's amazing conversation, and thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been great. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, if you have questions or you disagree with me, my DMs are open, NF Tequila on Twitter. And feel free to reach WalletConnect either through me or, follow us on Parkcaster.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, bye.